Well, in the first class of mine regarding this poem, it was something about this poem and the two stanzas we had taken. The first stanza was, "Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still." This was stanza 1. And why the poet says we should count up to 12. One very technical part actually the poet has suggested. It's a conscious effort that is he making. And he is giving us a way as to how we can become conscious or we can become calm and composed, because it is generally seen that we are not keeping quiet while speech is golden. Well, the words can be silver, and therefore there is a need in life that we need to be quiet for some time. And maybe in everyday life we are so busy, we are so disturbed, we are so conscious about several things that we will have to learn this technique and we have to be quiet and composed. So he gives us one technique. We definitely have a question, what can be the ways so that we can be quiet? So the technique can be, you just count some numbers, because it's a kind of effort made, and this effort would probably result us making us understand that at this moment now we are unruffled, we are composed, we are peaceful at mind. Next verse, for once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. The poet here again makes an effort and says that let's not speak in any particular language, because by speaking several times, maybe our purpose is not solved. Maybe we have got into more quarrels, more disputes, it has invited. So let there be no language. Even by the hierarchy of the language also we don't want. We don't want even the richest language in the world also to communicate, because we have been communicating. Now let us try something new. Let us try something different, because our purpose is to be composed, to be at peace, to experience that supreme peace. And we are therefore making an effort. By counting up to 12, we are telling our mind that you are just going to be quiet for some time. You are not going to have any ruffled or agitated thoughts. Just be composed for some time. And let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second. Is it possible that can we even stop for one particular second? Yes. And this by conscious effort, I think one is able to do. So let's make this effort and let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. By this, I think up to here we had the explanation. I had shared some PPTs with you, and this last 2 lines I'll explain to you. Let's stop for 1 second and not move, and after this we'll get back to the PPTs again. And let's not move. This means get into no action, perform no action. Just be calm, as we have been calm, never before. So let's try it for the first time and let us experience. Now I am getting back to PPTs for some 30 seconds or so. You may take a pause, and I'll explain to you through those PPTs. Some PPTs I had shown to you, wherein you could come to know the gist of the poem. And now with stanza 3, I'll be to you with some PPTs. Just have patience for some time. Let's keep quiet for some time. Yeah. So I think on the screen you can see here, it was about the poet, we had already gone. Introduction of the poem also we had seen, and the stanzas we had taken the first 2 lines and then the coming 4 lines I already explained to you yesterday. Even today we had explanation of it. And now moving on to the next stanza. The next stanza reads as, it would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Let us try to understand what does the poet want actually to say. The word exotic is probably new for you, and in this poem, the meaning of exotic is unusual. So it would be an unusual moment. It would be a strange moment. There won't be any rush, there won't be any engines. Now, by these two words, the reader should be able to understand what the poet wants to suggest. By rush, he means to say, in everyday life, we are running for one or another thing. We have some purpose to rush for something. And this shows that because we are constantly running after something, or we are constantly in the mind to get something, we are never composed. And our mind also is running all the time. And we do not get, peace of mind. The second part in the second line is without engines. This refers to the modern world. The modern world of industries, technology, and all machines we are surrounded with. And these things, they are so constantly going around, and so frequently we come across some of the other technology that there is no time with us that we can find some seconds also for any introspection. I think in the last class I emphasized on this term, self introspection is something the poet had expected. And by counting up to 12, we may probably get that self introspection because we are going to experience some quietness, some silence we are going to expect. As we are running, here and there for some of the other kind of work, for some purposes in life we are running, maybe for some aims and targets that we are running, and maybe in that we have lost our peace of mind. The poet says, let's have that peace of mind. And if it is not coming just by routine, so let us break the routine. Let us experience an exotic moment wherein there won't be any rush. And we would be without it. Let's not use, any equipments. Let's not use any gadget. Let's keep all these things away from us. And you see how the moment turns out to be. You might have imagined, seen when the light goes, when the power cuts, suddenly we experience kind of, stillness, but at the same time, quietness is there. We hear the natural sounds, the sounds of the trees, the leaves rustling, the birds chirping, and we may even look through the window and we may see a beautiful scene. This is all possible when we stop all those gadgets with which we are always surrounded. So the poet has very important idea to convey to us by just these few words. And therefore, the poet is not always very poetic like all the poems that we have so far seen. But he gives one wonderful message in just few words, and that is his ability to make him win even the Nobel Prize. So without rush and without engines, it would be a new moment, it would be a different moment. And we'd all be together in a sudden strangeness. I remember there was one poem in State Board of Maharashtra, I think in class 8. And poet, through the child, the poet says, when it was the greatest moment in his life when there was power cut. Because if there was power, the father was busy watching his own favorite, serials, and even the mother during the day was she also doing the same thing. This means the family generally is a strong family when it communicates with its own children. The bond is very strong. When we have any talk with our children, that bond becomes stronger, and children do not have any hesitation of their parents. And if it is not so, that is in lack of this beautiful moment, the children get deviated. The children feel as if they are not extremely important there in the lives of their parents. And when the power was cut, parents sat together, they talked something maybe just not so important in life, but something which was a need to strike a communication, a talk to start. That was all possible only when the light was not there, and parents talked with their child also, and so the child says the best moment for him was when the power was cut off. So you can understand the need of being together, so that by being together we have kind of strength in us. Even the country cannot be divided when all the people of this country are all together. Of course, there are many issues that may make us distinct from the other person, different from somebody else's faith and somebody else's linguistic, acceptance and other beliefs and all. But because we are one together, we believe that this country belongs to us, and every part of ours is devoted to the nation. So let us all be together. And it is in a kind of sudden strangeness. Here the poet is very particular about it, and he says, this moment, of course, of silence is unusual. It is so exciting. It is something like never experienced. So such kind of thing can be miracle for you. And because we are not in a kind of hurry, because we are not surrounded by these machines and all, so the problems are also less. You might have come to know that during this time of lockdown, many natural bodies have come back to their original shape. The water has become pristine, the air has become so clean, and the greenery at many places, suddenly has come up, and the birds whose voice we could not hear, now those birds, migratory birds also, they came down to our country, and a lot of life has come back to this atmosphere and the complete environment. This was all because we gave that time to the nature itself. So this is something different when we try something different. So it will be a strange moment, and of course unfamiliar moments, they will bring us something strange and something new. And this was all because we could experience there was steadiness, I mean to say, there was a stillness, there was no rush, there was no hurry for anything. And because we all can keep quiet, the bond of humanity. I talked initially about, give you an example of a family wherein the child expected the parents to talk with each other, and this was all possible when there was power cut and that the TV was not on. And because TV was not on, there was one human being talk to another. And here, when we keep quiet, it is possible that all the people of the world may think alike. When like this problem of COVID-19 is going on, for all of us the same problem is there, and because there is a problem, we are fighting for the common cause. The whole world is all together at this moment. The whole world wants a remedy for this problem, and we are all looking for that good news that we come to know now we have got a complete you can say cure for this disease. So it is only when we experience some tough time that we are all together. Now it is by making an effort, by being quiet for some time, we are going to experience that strong bond of humanity, and we'll all be together. Next stanza is stanza 4th, and herein it reads like, fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. These are just, I would say, suggestions by the poet. These are only the examples that the poet is quoting. By these examples, we are able to understand many things. Let us start with line 1. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales. By being quiet, or by going into that stream of experience of peace, we may be even able to understand not only the life of human being is important on the earth, but also of all other creatures. The creatures there on the earth, also there on the water, in the water, inside the deep sea. The whales are an example of the life there underneath the sea, under the ocean. A life is there. A beautiful garden is there. I think through many such serials or many such episodes of Man vs. Wild and Geography Channel, History Channel. There you might have come to know there must be some time when we must have got a chance to view inside the ocean through the cameras of these people. The whales here, that is, they represent the whole species there inside the ocean. They can not get harmed only when we keep quiet. We do not do anything. We do not even, do the fishing. That means the act that we have been doing for all these years together, when we keep quiet, maybe we are able to understand it is harming somebody else. It's not going to give us any good result. So let us just wait for some time. And the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. This line is so important to understand that in everyday life, in everyday routine life, we do not get moment even to check with our own selves what has happened. Even one's hands might have got hurt by doing hard work. This refers not just to the man gathering salt, it may refer to the daily wages laborers, those who under the scorching heat of the sun are doing the work, hard work from morning till evening. And whether they get time to look at their injuries, or even if they see their injuries, do you think that next day they are not going to go for work? Probably no, not like that. If not that very person who has got injury in his own hand, but you and me, if I look at the hurt hands of such kind of person, we may have compassion. And that is what I think the poet's approach is, that we must be able to understand that the other person with us, whether is or happy or is suffering, if the suffering of the other person, one is able to understand, we will empathize with humanity, complete humanity. And through the poet has given us this message that let us stop whatever the work we are doing for some time, and let us try to look at ourselves, let us try to look at the whole humanity. And this is what something we could not do earlier, but now let us try to do. And here of course the explanation is given. The fishermen would not be able to catch the fish. The whales in the sea would be safe. That means all the complete life there under the ocean would be all safe. Human beings would not destroy nature. That is what I think the poet wants to convey. The man who gathers salt, of course his hands are hurt, his hands are wounded, but he never got time to see that, all that. He never paid attention to it, because the everyday life for him is such that he has to go to his work and get his work done. He had no time earlier. Both nature and humans would recover from their wounds, and this was what I emphasized earlier also. During this time of crisis for humans, the environment revived, the wildlife revived, the whole ecology revived, and that is what I think maybe through this poem one great purpose can also be served. Over to the next stanza number 5. Those who prepare green wars with gas, wars with fire, and victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. I think by being quiet, the poet wants to tell us what is happening. Maybe we never paid attention to this particular thing. What is that? There are people, our own brothers and sisters, our own brethren, they are involved in green wars. And what is this green war referred to, or these wars, what do they refer to? They refer to all nuclear and biological weapons that the whole world is engaged in. And they never realized this kind of invention, what does it lead to? The poet speaks of these wars, which are waged by those selfish people, and these wars are totally against humanity, and they are all against this environment, and that is the cause of the destruction of human life on the earth. But there are people who are engaged in this kind of act, including the use of chemical and poisonous gases, wars that bring death and destruction, wars that leave none to celebrate victory. Now, ultimately, what would happen with those wars? Maybe one or two countries, if they launch these, weapons, these nuclear weapons, ultimately it would be lost to humanity. Do you think that one country, when uh, wages this kind of war, the other country is going to keep quiet? Not at all. It will retaliate. It will also use another kind of weapon. And who will be left with ultimately? Do you think that only one country will get destroyed? It's not so. It's the whole world will get destroyed. And these people who are engaged in these green wars, ultimately they will be left with nothing. For whom these wars, are done, those people themselves will not be there. And wars that bring death and destruction and that leaves none to celebrate victory, with whom they are going to celebrate this victory of theirs, such men should stop their activity. And this is probably the suggestion given by the poet, that these kind of activities are going to result in nothing, and therefore it does not serve any purpose or any meaning does it have that you should continue with this kind of thing. And it's a suggestion given by the poet to these people that they must stop all these kind of activities, and such men should stop their activities, shed their clothes and stained with the blood of humanity. This point, if you can understand, at the cost of other human beings, this kind of wars are waged, this kind of wars are fought, and the ultimate consequence or the result is nothing are you getting. Your hands are stained with the blood of humanity. Put on new clothes, but you see the irony. These kind of people who are preparing, those who are behind preparation of these kind of weapons, these people, they wear white clothes. Now, what do we understand by this image? I think in the first class of mine, I told you that this poem uses some images, and these images are important to get us the message. The image of white clothes, we must try to understand it. A white color represents purity, peace, and these people wear these clothes of white color, telling the other people or giving them the other people that they are the representatives of peace and quietness and calmness. But something against of it actually happens. They are doing or they are engaged in the kind of acts which result in complete death of humanity. So they put on these new clothes and walk with their brothers. Who are their brothers? The people of their own mindset, those who also believe in the same kind of thing, that there should be this kind of weapons, biological, chemical weapons. And these weapons, they are manufacturing, or they are engaged in the production of this kind of weapons. But these weapons, once they are prepared, they are going to be used. So let's not get involved in this kind of work itself. That is what the poet actually wants to convey. These people walk with their brothers. That means they are only left with these kind of people, and all other people would be no more. The war-torn world should be replaced, and with an atmosphere of peace, brotherhood, and harmony. And without, just in 5 minutes, I'll be back on camera. And I think here with this slide, of course, I want to end, but emphasizing on this point, our people would be left with, but even those people who are actually engaged in the production of these kind of weapons will be left with no peace, no brotherhood, and no harmony, of course. And of course, we are going to stop it, here today's class. And before that, I'll recapitulate and I'll get back to camera again. I, of course, wanted you people to me some responses. At the same time, I wanted you people to give me your questions. If any line from the text is not understood by you, well, I tried to make every line possible for you. But anyways, if it has not been, you can just tell me if there is any line which was not very comfortable for you. And today's class was going little bit in detail. In 2 minutes, of course, I am going to exit from this class. Well, repeating again what was discussed. Here the poet says, we have to be quiet for some time. And by doing so, we are going to be in the mode of standstillness. That is just the kind of game that we used to play, statue. Just keep quiet, do nothing. Do no action. And this will result in the contempt, we will conjecture over something. We will ponder over something. And what we are going to ponder over, what we have not done it earlier. We will talk about the other life other than the life of the human being, the life of all creatures on the earth, the life of creatures there, inside the deep ocean. And this is something unusual that we have been doing compared to our everyday life. And next we talked about those people who are engaged in the production of these weapons. One day what will happen? All those weapons would be used. And for whom they have used? Maybe to have their supremacy over the world. But it is possible that they would be left with nobody. And just people of their own kind, those who are involved in this kind of, armaments, production and all, these people would be left. And this will result into, again, nothing less. I think for today's class, this is enough, and we'll be back again in the next class of mine, but be ready with some of your responses. If any doubts are there, like right at the beginning of the class also, you can tell me in the next one. So for today,